Honey and garlic chicken, what a combination. The great thing about this recipe is that you have sizzling, you have frying, and it all results in a gorgeous chicken dinner that is perfect for midweek suppers. Let's get cooking. In my books, every good chicken recipe starts with chicken thighs. I'm gonna get a pan on nice and hot. So I'm gonna get oil in our pan. Now this is gonna get quite hot, so use something that has a high smoking point like an Irish rapeseed oil. We've got our chicken thighs looking pretty good. You want skin on, bone in. They're gonna give you great flavor and give you really crispy chicken skin. When you're browning off the chicken like this, important you go heavy on the seasoning. So these are pretty much good to go. I've got my pan nice and smoking. And this is the trick to chicken thighs. It's to get them in there nice and hot. And I think a lot of people have this tendency when it comes to frying meat in general that they move them in the pan. But here you want to leave them and let them crisp up and go nice and golden. Anytime you see chicken or meat sticking to the bottom of the pan, it tends to be because you're turning them too soon. Leave them rest, give them a moment, and you will get glorious, crispy, golden chicken. Okay, quick wash of the hands, and then it's garlic time. Now, everyone has their own way of peeling garlic, and some work better than others. I like to crush the bulb with my hand, releasing the cloves. The quickest way to get the skin off is to cut the end off the clove, and then using the flat of a large knife, press down until it pops. It ain't pretty, but the skin will come right off, and you're good to go. Now, this is honey and garlic chicken, so we gotta go heavy on the garlic. I've got about 6 cloves here, and I'm just gonna finely slice them. What I love about this is that it goes heavy on the garlic, so you've got that honkin' stink of garlic. This is not one for if you've got a date coming over. This is one for really great comfort food. There's nothing like the smell of garlic frying, so let's get this straight in the pan. Sprinkle it over the top of the chicken, all the way over. And now get in there with the tongs, and it's time to flip this chicken. Now this is why I love using chicken thighs. Look at that golden crispy skin, and then those lovely bits of garlic that are just kind of going jammy in alongside it. This is looking absolutely gorgeous. It's time for the sauce. Start off with 3 tablespoons of reduced salt soy sauce for that salty umami flavor. 3 tablespoons of white wine vinegar for sharpness. And then 3 tablespoons of oozy honey to balance out the flavor and make it rich, sweet and sticky. That is it. 3 ingredients: soy sauce, a little bit of vinegar, and a touch of honey. 3 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons, and 3 tablespoons. Super simple to remember. And now that we've got our sauce together, it's time for our veggies. Broccoli, spring onions, and some sugar snap peas. Now, all of these I've chosen specifically because they cook out quite quickly. With your broccoli, take a sharp knife and just cut around the florets. And this is where the superfood in minutes moment happens with this recipe, because we've all these gorgeous, nutritious veggies that get plonked straight in amongst that sauce. We've got the sugar snap peas. I love these peas because they're going to cook really quickly, but they still add a bit of crunch and green to this dish. Now have a look at this. This is where you take your spring onions to the next level. We're going to slice them on the diagonal just to give them a little bit more interest in the pan. So don't slice them too thinly. You want a bit of spring onion bite as part of this dish. Now I'm using all the spring onion here, whites and green parts, no waste, and I've just given them a quick wash before I'm slicing them up, just to make sure there's no grit. Right, a lot of spring onions here. They all go straight in. And grab up the tongs, and it's time to kind of nuzzle those veggies in around the chicken. Make sure that they get coated in a little bit of that sauce. If your sauce is a little bit dry looking at this point, grab up a bowl, take some water, and this is where you have to have a bit of confidence in the kitchen. Even if it doesn't follow exactly as it is in the recipe, improvise a little bit. A little touch of water will just bring that sauce back to life. Just look at those gorgeous greens. And remember, this is all about balance. We've got that crispy umami bite in the chicken, but we also have that great nutrition in the greens that we've added here. Now, on with the lid. This touch of steam that's going on in here is going to help cook off our chicken. It needs no more than about 3 to 5 minutes, just until those veggies are nice and tender. Let it cook for just a few minutes, and then it's time for the final flourishes. Look at that beautiful steaming one-pot chicken. To garnish, add a generous sprinkle of sesame seeds, and for a hit of fragrance and freshness, tear in a handful of coriander. Now it's time to taste. I mean, this is the magic of this dish. Tang of vinegar, saltiness from that soy sauce, but the honey, that sweetness wrapped around it, and then you really, really tender chicken. This is why it's a magic one-pan dinner. It's going to save you time in the kitchen and give you a really honkin'ly good dinner. You can serve it straight to the table just like that, and everyone can dig in. Happy days. Sticky, easy to remember, and seriously delicious. Next up, my angry chicken. Angry because it is one hot number. It's crispy, it's fiery, one to cook for friends, and the marinade is a winner. Slice the chicken into bite-sized chunks and place them in a dish. Pour over the soy sauce, give them a mix, and let the chicken soak it up. To make the batter, mix together the corn flour and a whole egg. Get a pan on a high heat with a good amount of oil. Then, a few bits at a time, soak the chicken in the batter and fry in the pan until it's golden brown. Set them aside on a plate with some tissue paper and repeat until all the chicken is cooked through. Then it's time for chopped chili, sliced peppers, more soy sauce, tomato puree and sugar. Add a dash of rice wine vinegar and vegetable stock and let it cook. When the sauce is properly combined, take a few tablespoons and mix it with the leftover corn flour. Add the mixture back into the pan, and that's going to help the sauce to thicken. While it simmers, add the chicken and let the whole dish come together. Serve it straight to the table with some steamed courgette for a sparkling supper that's full of flavour with lots of fresh veg on top. It's a light dish that doesn't compromise on anything. Get it on your meal plan this week. Next up, General Tso's stir fry. It's hugely popular in Chinese restaurants in the States and a great dinner fix if sweet and sour is your go-to. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, tofu is not an ingredient that I use too often, but I have come up with the easiest way of getting it really crispy, and that has been an absolute game changer. It works perfectly in this recipe, but if you're cooking it in general, this is a great little tip. So we want to squeeze out as much of the moisture out of a block of tofu like this. So to do that, I have a little bit of kitchen paper, and we're just going to wrap the tofu in the kitchen paper. And then it's just a little bit of brute force. You got to get in there and squeeze it until as much of that liquid is out of it. This will ensure that you get really, really crispy tofu that goes gorgeously golden brown. It completely changes the texture, so it's well worth the effort. This is looking pretty good. This is actually quite a firm piece of tofu. And once you've taken out most of that moisture, it's time to slice it up. So we're going to cut this into cubes. Little bite-sized pieces is what you're after. Now, my little method is twofold. Firstly, it's to squeeze out the moisture. And secondly, it's to add a touch of corn flour. And the corn flour helps give you this gorgeous crispy exterior when you fry it off in the pan. So straight into a bowl, a teaspoon or so of corn flour, and then just give it a good mix up. As soon as it's nicely coated, set it aside. Now it's time for the sauce. This is the secret to creating that classic General Tso sauce, which is sticky, it's sweet, it's a little bit sour at the same time. And for that, we're going to need a teaspoon of sesame oil, 3 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar, 3 tablespoons of low sodium soy sauce, a heaped spoonful of hoisin sauce. That goes straight in. And for a little bit of sweetness, some brown sugar. This makes all the difference, so please don't skimp on this. That balance of sweetness and saltiness is essential to a lot of recipes like this, so it's well worth adding in here. Give it a good whisk up. Right, that is our sauce, all good to go. We've got our tofu and the corn flour. Let's talk aromatics. One of my favorite combination of ingredients is Thai red chilies, ginger and garlic. and some broccoli for good measure. But it's the holy trinity of chili, ginger and garlic that are going to give us serious aromatics here. So I want to go a hefty amount of all, and let's get chopping. Slice the garlic, chili and ginger into thin strips. These are the perfect size for stir fries like this. They cook in no time and have the right kind of bite if you just time it right. Then take a whole head of broccoli and cut off the florets into bite-sized chunks. Right, broccoli sorted. Pan's coming up to temperature. Get some oil in the pan, and really what you're looking for is a screaming hot pan, because this is all going to come together really quickly, and the minute you start adding ingredients in there, the temperature drops in the pan. So if you don't start with one that's nice and hot, it's just curtains. It's going to sweat off your ingredients and you're not going to get that golden color. So once that pan is nice and hot, it's time to get in there. We're looking for these little blocks to turn golden and crispy on all sides. This whole dish is actually vegan, so it's a really great one if you have friends coming around for dinner, because it suits everyone, it tastes fantastic, and it tastes quite meaty too, so nobody's missing out. But if you're using it for stir fries like this, try and get your hands on the firm stuff, because it's that will give you that crispy texture and will hold its shape when you stir fry it alongside some other ingredients. This is what you're after. Glorious golden goodness and beautiful pieces of tofu that have a bit of texture. So I'm going to just transfer these out with a slotted spoon. You can hear the rattle of them as they hit the plate, and that's how you know you've got crispy tofu. We're going to lose a little bit of that oil, so just pop that straight out, leaving about a tablespoon or so of it. And while it's still hot and it's smoking and we got all that action, straight in with some garlic, chili and ginger. Give it a quick stir, and then you get a bit of chili up your nose and you know you're cooking. This is where it needs to be. Straight in with the broccoli. Give that a good toss, get your broccoli involved. And just to start off the steaming action, I'm going to add in a little splash of water. Give it a good shuffle. And to this, we're going to get in there with that magic sauce that we prepared. And give it a little shuffle. The sugar in that sauce is going to help reduce it, and it's going to give you that really glossy, gorgeous General Tso classic sauce. To maximise the heat without letting it overcook, pop the lid on for a tick to capture all that steam. This is where you need to be. That sauce should be viscous and bubbling, and your broccoli should be cooked through, and at that point, it's now time to get in there with the tofu. And literally, everything is done at this point, so just give it a good toss through. Get those tofu pieces completely coated in that sticky sauce. Right, dinner is ready to serve. Nice bed of rice, glorious tofu, and the great thing is, it just soaks up all that sweet, sticky sauce. And look at that. The kind of food you want to cook. It's all the things you expect from a General Tso dish, but in tofu form. Seriously spicy, seriously sticky, and that tofu just shines using that very simple method. I'm off to eat the rest. This spicy, crunchy rainbow salad is going to be your new midweek pick-me-up. It's an excellent lunch or dinner dish, and the Harissa makes it a meal with attitude. For this recipe, I'm using my favourite part of the chicken, boneless thighs. Season the meat and then slather with the Harissa paste. Zest the rind of a lemon on top and let it sit for a bit while you get some oil into a pan and up to temperature. When it's ready, get in there with the chicken and let it fry until it's golden and crispy. Flip them over and remove when both sides are perfectly cooked. Set aside to rest. For the dressing, add some oil to a glass bowl and get in there with some lemon juice, seasoning, and give it a good mix until it's emulsified. Add a bag of pre-washed rainbow salad, some drained chickpeas from a can, a handful of chopped flat leaf parsley, and some sliced avocado. Slice up the chicken and spoon over a few tablespoons of natural yogurt. Mix it all together and get it straight to the table. Golden Harissa chicken with a mouth-watering rainbow salad. How delicious does that look? Thai basil is going to bring you next level flavour in my Krapow chicken. And it's also called holy basil, as it's supposed to lift the spirits and relieve a bit of stress. Now, I don't know about that, but sometimes we need all the help we can get. In Thailand, this is a quick fix all-day food item, and it's a fantastic one because it's a smack of spice and saltiness, and that's exactly what I'm after. I'm going to start off by slicing up some garlic, some chili, and I have some onions as well. So 2 onions go into this, and the great thing about this is there's not too many ingredients in this recipe, so literally a few basics, and then we're going to get frying. Thinly slice the onions, garlic, and chili. Get some oil in the pan, pop the onions in, season well, add the garlic and chili, and give it a stir. Right, chili, garlic, onions, the flavour in the kitchen, the smell, the aromas, this is where it's at now. The next thing we need is some broccoli and a little bit of chicken. So for my broccoli, I have some beautiful tender stem. And the great thing about this ingredient is that it's so nutritious, but it's also quite quick cooking. So just take up a knife and I'm going to slice these in half on the diagonal. I just want them in bite-sized pieces. It'll also help them to cook down. Straight into the pan. Gorgeous green broccoli, and now it's time for the chicken. I've got some chicken thighs, and I really, really recommend you use chicken thighs because they have so much more flavor. They're going to give you great texture in a dish like this, and best of all, they're cheap as chips. Some nice thin slices that are going to cook out quickly. My pan is catching a little bit, so a good tip at this point is to take up just a splash of water, which will help to loosen off any of that stuff that's at the bottom of the pan, but it'll also help to steam off our broccoli and get a really nice cook on them. And don't worry about the water creating a sauce or anything. It's actually going to evaporate. It's going to deglaze the bottom of the pan, and it'll bring everything together. And it also buys you a little bit of time while you're chopping up the chicken. Okay, onions have softened down at this point. The veggies are starting to take a little bit. I'm just going to push everything to the side, whack up the heat, and we're going to get in there with a touch more oil and the chicken. And we're not really looking to brown off the chicken here because we're going to add lots of sauce. So really what we're after is beautifully cooked, tender pieces of chicken. Chicken goes straight in. Give the hands a quick wash. Right, back to the action. Chicken's coming on quite nicely. It's taken a little bit of colour, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Normally, I would say with a dish like this, you would do things in batches, but this works quite well because you're adding sauce and it's all going to come together quite nicely. Chicken is in a good place right now. There's a little bit of pink, but we're going to cook that out. It's time to add the sauces. So this combination is really easy to remember, and this is what I love about recipes like this. It's not too many ingredients, and you can remember them off the top of your head. Now, we've got 2 tablespoons of soy sauce going in here. I'm using a low sodium soy sauce because I don't want too much salt. We've got that from the fish sauce and we have it from the oyster sauce. You're going with 1 tablespoon of fish sauce. I know they kind of feel like similar ingredients in terms of saltiness, but they really do bring a rounded flavor. And similar to this, we've got some oyster sauce. So it's about 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce here. Don't worry about things that sound all a bit fishy. They will bring you to a new level of flavor. It's so good. And this dish just thrives on that umami bite. So get all the chicken, mixed with the broccoli, mixed with the onions, mixed with the chili and garlic. And then we're just going to allow that sauce to come together and become sweet, sticky, and glossy. Now this is where we want to be. This is a good visual point to know that that sauce is cooked out, it's become really glossy, and it's starting to kind of come away from the bottom of the pan. So this is now good to go. I'm going to turn off the heat, and the last and most essential element of this gorgeous Krapow chicken is the fresh aromatics from some Thai basil. Thai basil sounds like an exotic ingredient, but it gives you this fantastic aniseed bite, and you can get it in a lot of supermarkets now. So literally, just pick those in over the top. And I know I'm going on about it, but I promise you, this just makes the difference to a dish like this. It's going to give you fragrance, it's going to give you freshness, and in something like this, which is dark and delicious, it just elevates it. Give it a stir. And I only add basil just at the last minute because it does have a tendency to go black with the heat. So you just want that sort of freshness and aroma to stay as intact as possible. That for me is a dish done. But I'm going to give it a taste. This could be brought straight to the table and people can dig in. I normally serve it with rice. It's a nice little addition. Saltiness, spiciness, tender chicken. That is magic.